Let us start with the land acknowledgement. Humber College is located within the traditional and treaty lands of Mississaugas of the Credit, known as Etobicoke, the place of the elders, in Michisagic language. The region is uniquely situated along Humber River watershed, which historically provide an integral connection of Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat people between the Ontario Lakeshore and the Lake Simcoe Georgian Bay regions. Now home to people of numerous nations, Etobicoke continues to provide a vital source of interconnection for all. So this is going to be our agenda. I will quickly go through what CCSIF applications are, CCSIF grants are, and we'll learn more about social innovation and what are the application components that are present in the CCSIF application. And we have a set timeline. We have estimated, based on our previous rounds. So I can share the timeline as well. And we'll share the roles and responsibilities of Office of Research and Innovation and subject matter expert as a researchers, you and the community partners will be working with us. There is a notice of intent which will be sending out to you, so you can fill it out. We have a 1 month deadline. Since CCSIF has a limitation of 5 projects per college, so we are trying to find out the best projects which are aligned with CCSIF guidelines. Sometimes last year I can give an example. Few projects which we received for CCSIF in under notice of intents, which was really aligning with AID grants, and we went forward and we did apply for AID grants, and we are able to secure those grants. So that way, if you feel like you have a research project, please feel free to reach out to us so we can help you with that. So let's start with an overview of what CCSIF grants are. So CCSIF is College and Community Social Innovation Fund. It is a program that provides funding to colleges and universities in Canada to support social innovation and community development projects. The program is funded by ESDC, which is called Employment and Social Development Canada, and it is administered by CIC, which is Colleges and Institutes Canada. This program supports collaborative projects that bring together post-secondary institutions and community organizations to address social and environmental challenges. The program aims to promote social innovation, community development, and developing a highly skilled workforce in Canada. These are the needs right now. This may shift in coming years. Right now, the program is mainly focused on promoting social innovation, community development, and bringing in developing highly skilled workforce in Canada. This program provides funding for projects that involve research and development and implementation of innovative solutions to social issues such as poverty, homelessness, environmental sustainability, and community economic development. It is also a part of Government Canada's broader commitment to supporting social innovation and community development across the country. So they fund by funding collaborative projects that address social and environmental challenges. The CCSIF helps to build more resilient communities and more prosperous Canada. So now, what is social innovation? Social innovation, it refers to development and implementation of new ideas, products, and services or processes that address social and environmental challenges in innovative ways. Social innovation also involves creating and implementing solutions that generate social value and improve the well-being of individuals and communities. And it can occur in a variety of settings, including private, public, and not-for-profit, and can involve collaborations between different stakeholders such as government, businesses, civil societies, hospitals, and individuals. It often involves the use of emerging technologies, new business models, and alternative ways of organizing and delivering services to achieve social and environmental goals. We have examples within Humber. So these are the projects which we currently have at Humber. One project, it is developing a program for employment readiness for international trained professionals. We have a compassion-based human services delivery framework project. We have a public education materials development project, surrounding young adult cannabis use. We have educational resources. We have one project which are developing educational resources, multimedia cases for successful indigenous business model to be included in post-secondary classrooms. There's one project for community-based and nurse-led mobile health and social services clinic, and one more project for trauma-informed and culturally sensitive community agency partnership. You'll be able to learn more about these projects. Maybe I can share our office's link. You'll be able to best understand what the project is about and learn more about what our office exactly does. So now let's go over what are COCOSIF, what are the guidelines, what are the requirements, which NSERC has set. As I said, every college can submit up to a maximum of 5 applications per year. You know, it requires a minimum one partner, one community partner. They can be they can be Canadian organizations from public, private, or non-profits. These projects are usually 1 to 3 years. We always aim for maximum of 3 years. So whenever we develop a application, we focus for the 3-year grant, and we may request up to $120,000 per year. Considering the amount of work it takes, we always aim for the maximum amount. It also must have a social impact on the community. It has to be led by a principal investigator, and the principal investigator or the project lead should have a firm offer of an academic appointment at an eligible post-secondary institution. They can be a partial faculty, they can be a full-time faculty, they can be academic manager, or they can be a dean as well. So these are the components that are included and which we will help you to develop while we submit for the COCOSIF applications. The first one is a CV contributions. It's basically a resume of the research, primary research team, which are the PI, co-PIs. They have NSERC as a different format, which we already have created a template. Our team will work with you and we'll develop the resume for you. And then comes the research proposal, which has a 10-page limit. We have our grant writing team. Darren is one of the grant experts who will be working with you to fine tune the research proposal, and will make sure the guidelines are met. And then comes the budget table. It is a preset budget table. We have customized it based on the requirements by NSERC, and we have created the template as well, which, once we select the top 5 projects, we'll have multiple workshops to help you develop the budget table and justification. Even budget justification, it has a 3-page limit, which our office will work closely with you, to fine tune and make sure all the, even example EDA, the EDA components are met. Then comes the CV for collaborators. Collaborators are someone who can be from a university who is participating in the research project, or can be from the community partner or industry partner who is working in the project, who will be primarily doing all the work. So if you want to list them as a collaborator, they get recognized by NSERC. So that way, they require a resume for that. So again, NSERC has a set template for it. We'll help you to develop that resume as well. And the last one is a letter of support. It is coming from the partner. So the partner must explain why this project is important, why they're collaborating. Same way, how the project is important for them, and how they will use this project results in long term, and what kind of contributions they are bringing in. So these are the information that will be listing it there. Darren, over to you. Can you please explain about the proposals?
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next couple of slides, we're going to walk through the proposal. And as has been outlined, it's a 10-page proposal, including references. And there's quite a bit of information that needs to be included. And maybe some of you have been involved in COCOSIF application processes in the past, or maybe you've been involved in other grant applications. And so there may be some similarities with this proposal when compared to other proposals that you've been involved in preparing. So some initial highlights. We need to articulate specific performance metrics, targeted goals, and pre and post social impact measures. In particular, the emphasis is placed on those social impact measures. As a result of your project, what's going to change, or what do you anticipate changing within the community, within the individuals who are taking part in your project and the broader community? and how might we demonstrate that impact. There'll need to be evidence of a strong partnership with partner organizations. There'll need to be a detailed work plan. Usually the work plan is broken down into year 1, year 2, and year 3. Key activities, key deliverables, key timelines, key areas of responsibility for each of the members of the research team and partner organizations. There'll need to be specifics around student training and how through your project you will engage students and speak specifically to the types of knowledge and skills and experience that students will acquire as a result of participating in your project, and how that knowledge and skills and experience is important in supporting students to transition into today's workforce. And concrete actions for commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we'll touch on that a little bit today, but there will be a follow-up workshop that delves more deeply into the EDI requirements for this particular call for proposals. So let's walk through the different sections of the proposal. So the first section is the introduction section. Here, you'll want to offer some context to your project. So if your project has a focus, for example, on food insecurity, you'll want to speak to that within the Canadian landscape, within Ontario's landscape, and more specifically within the community within which your project will be taking place. So to give some context to your project, your area of focus, and why it's important, why we need to turn our attention in this direction today. So you want to speak to the importance of your area of focus and your project. You'll speak to your anticipated outcomes. What do you hope to achieve? What changes do you hope to facilitate as a result of your project? And what's the benefit to, first and foremost, the community within which you'll be conducting your project, the benefit to partner organizations, benefit to the college, and benefits more broadly to the research discipline within which your project falls. And so you'll want to speak to those benefits. The second section of the proposal starts to get into what's referred to as the quality of the proposal. So here you'll need to outline very specific objectives that your project is working to achieve, very concrete objectives. You'll want to speak to some literature. And so the language they use is literature review, but it's really a synthesis of literature that speaks to, it substantiates the context that you outlined at the beginning in the introductory section. So it substantiates, it provides evidence to support the context that the area of focus that you're touching on is important today. The project that you're proposing is needed, and it positions your project within current literature. And so you not only synthesize current literature, but then speak to how your project builds on literature to date and extends in some way current literature related to your project. And so it's a little bit of a balancing act there, I find, because on the one hand, you want to show, and it's important to show that your project is grounded in current literature, but at the same time, there's an expectation that it's innovative. And so you want to show that it's grounded and aligned with current literature and extends from current literature, but it's also offering something new, something novel, something innovative that perhaps hasn't been done before. You'll want to speak to a work plan and your research methodology. So what's your research design? What specific methods will you be using? What measures will you be using? And they want to see an integration of EDI in the research process. And so again, we'll be speaking to that in more depth in a follow-up workshop. But for example, to be able to, is there an opportunity to engage within the community that you'll be conducting your research within, to have community members help to inform and shape and guide the research questions and the research design and the research methods. Another area that comes up might be, how are you providing supports and accommodations so members of the community can take part as participants in your research if they have an interest in participating. So there's equitable access across the community that you'll be conducting your project within. Those are just a few quick examples, but we'll delve far more deeply into the EDI components in follow-up workshops. There needs to be an emphasis on how you're applying knowledge in an innovative manner and how through your project you'll be developing new knowledge, a new, deeper understanding of your area of focus. There'll need to be impact measures to monitor progress and assess outcomes. And so two areas of focus there: how you're going to monitor and measure progress of your project. What are those key performance indicators were specific to your project? And then the broader outcomes, the broader social impact on the community within which you're conducting your project within. And then speaking to the overall budget and how, if successful, you'll allocate budget funds. What are those key areas of focus? The next section speaks to partnerships and impact. And so here, you'll want to speak to how what you're proposing addresses the needs of the community and your partner organization. Why is this important? An important area of focus at this moment in time for this particular community? And why is this important for the partner organization? Why does the partner organization want to be involved? Why is this important? How is it going to help the community and help the partner organizations? What resources will be available from the college, from the partner organization, and other sources, and speak to their relevance to your project. And so resources can be both in-kind contributions, for example, members of a partner organization committing time to take part in project meetings, helping to inform and shape and guide components of the project, or they may include dollar contributions, financial contributions. And so speaking more broadly to the resources and the commitments that the college will be making, the partner organization will be making to your project, and how members of the partner organization and other individuals will be actively involved in your project. And so we want to be able to demonstrate in a very meaningful way that all members of the research team and members of the partner organization and members of the community that you're conducting your project within are all going to be actively engaged as partners throughout this journey. We need to build a knowledge mobilization plan. And so there's a strong emphasis on demonstrating how the findings of the research, the findings of your project, are going to be mobilized in some way within the community. How are they going to be used? How's the community partner organization going to use your findings to enhance service delivery, to introduce new services, for example? How is the college going to use the information, the new knowledge that's acquired? And so how more broadly is your project going to translate into concrete, tangible, and sustainable knowledge mobilization? And so maybe there'll be community presentations that will be planned and delivered, where you share the results and engage partners and community members in thinking about and co-creating how they might carry forward the outcomes of your project and put them in some way, put them into practice within the community. Maybe you'll publish articles, maybe you'll develop a set of resources, digital resources. I mean, it can take all kinds of different forms, but there'll need to be a concrete knowledge mobilization plan. And then you'll want to speak to the long-term potential for Canadian societal benefits at the local, regional, or national level. So how might your project and the impact of your project be scaled in the years ahead, thinking about how it might be scaled at a larger regional, provincial, or national level. The next section speaks to applied research competence. And so here, you're going to outline the experience and the expertise of the research team. And so you'll speak to each member of the research team. There'll be information about each member's unique experience, their knowledge, their skills, their expertise, what they bring to the research team, and then talk holistically about the research team as a whole. You'll talk about the applicants and the research team's experience working with community partners, working within the community that you'll be conducting your project within. And you can see again, you'll need to demonstrate at least one concrete practice to ensure EDI is intentionally and proactively considered in recruiting, selecting, and integrating personnel into the research team. And so again, we'll delve more deeply into this. This can take many different forms. One example could be, planning a launch meeting for your research team, and during that initial meeting, developing a team charter where you're talking about how are we going to work together as a team, how are we going to navigate disagreements, how are we going to make decisions together, and how are we going to ensure that all voices are heard and that we're journeying together as a team. So that's an example of a very concrete, tangible practice. The next section is all about training, all about student training. And so you'll need to include a plan as to how you're going to incorporate student training as an integral component of your project, which academic departments or faculties or programs will you be recruiting students from? How many students will you recruit each year of your project? So you'll want to piece together a detailed plan, a strategic detailed plan that spans over the 3 years of your project. And there's both a training and a mentorship component. So you'll want to speak to both student training opportunities, maybe attending education and training workshops, seminars, but also speak to a mentoring component, how members of your research team will mentor students throughout the duration of your project, and how that's going to help meet the needs of the community, the broader region, and the partner organizations, for example. Here you see you need to include at least one concrete practice that will promote the participation of a diverse group of students and other trainees, including those from underrepresented groups. And so, thinking about, for example, the language that you use on your postings, thinking about where your postings are put up, how they're distributed, so that all students who might have an interest are made aware of the opportunity. And so, again, we'll delve far more deeply into the EDI requirements, and together we'll do some brainstorming around different ways that those requirements can be met. The last section of the proposal, again, it's included within the 10 pages, so the 10 pages must include references, is your reference list. We want to try to stay with current literature. And so what's the definition of current? Well, you can there's different perspectives on that, but roughly within the last 3 to 5 years, if possible. The guidelines don't allow for any hyperlinks to be included. And so, wanting to make sure that, particularly, thinking about the literature review section, making sure that any literature that is cited has a corresponding reference as part of your references list. So, Manny, I believe those were all the key sections of the proposal. We'll be delving more deeply in follow-up workshops into those sections, as well as if you step into the CCSIF process, we'll be working closely with you to support you in building and shaping each of those sections.
Absolutely. Thanks, Darren. Do we have any questions so far? Yes, Reshma.
Hi, my name is Reshma Prashad. I'm with the Faculty of Business. I'm actually teaching healthcare management. So I had a couple of questions in terms of determining whether, an idea that I have is a feasible one. Am I able to have a preliminary discussion with someone before we go? I think my project met many of the criteria outlined, but I just wanted to be sure before, I don't waste anyone's time in moving forward with an application.
Absolutely. We can connect one-on-one and we can discuss about the project.
Okay. So should I reach out to you or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Perfect. So we have a notice of intent. We have a template designed for it. It has a list of questions. We are trying to find out, based on that questions, we'll convene a review panel. Say we have 8 to 10 applicants, but since we have a limitation of 5 applications per college, we have to choose the best 5 applications which are aligned with COCOSIF. So we send the NOI to the review panel and we'll get back to you. So for that NOI, we have a deadline which is due by June 21. So exactly 1 month and 10 days from now. I'll share the NOI template as well in the call, and I can go through the questions. So it'll be much easier in case if you have any questions, you can reach it to us. Yes, Sean, I saw your hand up. You are muted. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I typed my question into the chat, but
Yes.
if you are going to get to those questions, I can wait.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm going to go back to the questions once I'm done with this. Few more pages.
Okay, no problem.
Perfect. So based on our previous applications, in order to have a perfect application ready, rather than waiting till December. So usually the NSERC submission deadline is, anywhere between February to March. So in the last couple of years, it was in February, and this year they changed it to March. And we believe it will be staying in March, but in case if they decide to move it back to February, we don't want to risk it because considering the Christmas and New Year breaks will be there and college closures will be there, we have to develop the application before we head out to break. So the application development begins in September. That's why we have set the notice of intent due by June. Between the June-September period, we'll have the review panel get back to us, and we'll give out the results to the 5 best applications. At the same time, say other projects which we have received is best suited with other programs. We'll be happy to help you with it, and we'll help you with the application as well along with those grants. And I'll introduce you to the particular project analyst or program coordinator who is working in those grants. So I'll quickly share the NOI and we can go through the questions over here. So it is a pretty self-explanatory template. If you already have decided a project, if you have a project plan, if you have title, you can mention the title here. Project participants, you and your teammates, if you have decided already. These are not mandatory questions. It can develop. The main purpose of this NOI is going to focus on the project proposal and the methodology, and that way we'll be able to decide if this project really suits with the COCOSIF project. And even about the partner organizations, Sean, to your question, the partner should be a Canadian NGO. It cannot be. Unfortunately, this program is, focusing on only in Canadian organizations. So supporting organizations, if you already have a partner organization, you can mention it here. The name of the signing authority. If you have an estimated in-kind or cash contributions, you can put it in. If you don't have, we'll be happy to guide you through how to develop that in-kind document. Darren, would you like to explain the project overview and the methodology part?
Yes, sure. Thank you. So in this section here, certainly you can use point form. Again, the intent here is to start to paint a picture of your vision for the project, knowing that it may and likely will continue to develop and take shape in the months ahead. And so this is just an initial snapshot to give some insight, start to paint a picture as to your vision. And so these questions are directly aligned with the different sections of the proposal. And so starting to put in some point form notes in each of these sections will lay the foundation for your proposal. And so the first section here is your topic and the importance. Speaking a few points around what's the social issue, the social challenge you're looking to address, why is it important, what are the benefits, what's your guiding research question? Sorry, Manny, can you just scroll down a little further? And a few of your key objectives. Again, they may continue to evolve and develop over time as you shape your project, but even if you have just a couple initial key objectives. And then what methodology are you thinking you might utilize? And so there's a few options listed here, but there's other as well. You may envision a different methodology that's not listed here. And so an opportunity to start to share that vision. And then the second section here around community and partner organization. So what are you working towards? What's your innovation, your social innovation outcome? What might that look like? Are you looking to offer a new program, a new service, a community-based manual of some kind, advanced policy? What is that social innovation type of outcome that you're working towards? How will you engage your community of interest in co-creating that social innovation outcome? What might that look like? How will the social innovation be used and sustained by the partner organization and community? How will the partner organization be an active partner and actively involved throughout the project? What might that look like? And how will you share the outcomes and knowledge gained? And so this is that knowledge mobilization focus. Starting to think about the budget. If you are successful at 120,000 per year for 3 years, what key areas might you allocate that funding towards? Would it be utilized for student researchers, community engagement, knowledge dissemination, so on and so forth? And so again, lots of opportunity down the road to drill down into the details there. What you're starting to outline here is just an initial high-level vision, knowing that it will continue to be shaped and refined. Thinking about your research team, so who do you envision being involved? And what unique, a few points about the unique expertise and experience that each bring. Thinking about students, what that might look like, thinking about how you might train and mentor students, and some initial thoughts around the EDI-based approaches and requirements. So again, these questions don't require lengthy answers. Even just a few key points under each starts to paint that picture and starts to articulate your vision. And then here you'll start to piece together the beginnings of your work plan, your activity schedule. And so you can see the template is broken down into year 1, year 2, and year 3. And it gives a brief description of typically what each year is comprised of. So year 1 might include a focus on planning and preparation, that initial engagement, formation of your project team, so on and so forth. Year 2 might be where you actually are gathering data. You're collecting data in year 2. Year 3 might be, you're focused on analysis of your data and that knowledge mobilization and translation component. So those types of examples are included in the description here, again, as a way to guide your initial planning, your initial visioning around what the 3 years of your project might entail. And then the final section is really just to demonstrate that there's internal support for your project. And so there is a space here for some signatures that demonstrate in a very concrete way that there's internal support for your project.
Thanks, Darren. So I'll be sending an email with with this NOI. At the same time, it'll be posted in all our communication platforms as well. So again, the deadline is going to be Wednesday, June 21, 2023. That way we'll have enough time for the review. At the same time, if you have any questions regarding the project, we can reach out to you before you head out to the break. So this is the timeline which we have planned right now. So once the notice of intent has been submitted to us, we'll review, we'll get back to you once you're back from the summer break. Then we'll start working with you to develop your CVs, and we'll start working on something called Convergence Portal. Convergence Portal is a portal where we upload all the documents right now for the application, and we'll help you with those complete process. Then all the components will be working. We'll have multiple workshop sessions for all the 5 selected projects, and we'll work closely with you to make sure we give our maximum support. I know, because it's going to be an extra work which you're doing, compared to the day-to-day work you're doing right now. So usually it takes about 200 to 250 hours, anywhere between 200 to 250 hours to complete this Scopus application. So we are trying to make sure this process is easy for you. So every year we are updating our templates, making sure it is easy for you. We have set templates for all the components, which we'll be sharing it once you get selected. So this is going to be the roles and responsibilities usually. For Office of Research and Innovation, will take care of overall administrative coordination, support, and approval of all the application components. That is pre-application. And once we get awarded, we'll be the grant holders. So we'll do the overall administrative coordination, support with project implementation, such as hiring, purchasing. If you have any questions with legal, REB application, so we'll be guiding you towards an end of the project. As a faculty or staff, you'll be the PI or co-PI or a research team member. You're the subject matter expert. You know more about your project. Will be someone who is guiding you to with the grant and with the project, but we'll be as a subject matter expert who will be working, and you'll be the primary contact with the community partner. You do the lead development of all the application components. We'll walk you through all the components. You'll be the active lead throughout the application development and implementation, and again knowledge mobilization as well. As a partner is required to submit a letter of support. Office of Research and Innovation will help them to develop the letter of support. We have a template for that as well. And they have to allocate the resources to the project for the project success. And they'll also have an active involvement throughout the project implementation and sustainability. Say the project is over, the partner has the IP, and they will have to make sure it has been mobilized and the impact has been felt. So once we select the top 5 NOIs, we'll have a series of workshops, which is the proposal development. We'll dive in deep with Darren. He'll walk you through how we can develop the application. How can we develop the proposal? So we'll at least have a draft on that workshop. We'll make sure we work with you. And then comes the budget and budget justification. Our team will help you to develop the budget and justification. We'll explain what are the current rates. Let's say you want to hire a student. We know the current rates and how many hours you can budget according to the project. We'll be able to give you some help with that based on the previous project which we have. Similar to all the purchases, if you need a software, we'll give you an estimate. We'll work with IT, and we'll be able to budget that during the application process. And after we get awarded, we work with IT to procure everything for you. And we have a final workshop for the EDI requirements, and we'll help you how we can add all the EDI components to the application, including the justification, including the proposal, how best we can include that. So any questions? Sean, for your question, Canadian, can you please elaborate on the question? I'm not able to get it.
Sure. So we would be working with a Canadian university and a Canadian NGO that does charitable work in rural community of Africa. So we're working with a Canadian NGO, but the beneficiary community are members of the community in this rural community of Africa.
Right. So it's a little tricky because the presence of the NGO is in Canada, but the CCSIF addresses, they want a project which can address a challenge or a problem that is faced by a Canadian community, which can be replicated, which we can be adopted for an African community, but at the same time, it has to solve a problem or a challenge within a Canadian community. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
Yeah. It's related to water and sanitation and equitable access to clean drinking water. Which,
does it involve any technology?
More like appropriate technology rather than innovative or advanced tech. But it could reverberate back to application in rural communities in Canada or First Nation communities in Canada.
Right. So there are two options which I'm thinking of. I'm just throwing out ideas. CCSIF, it used to be international organizations as well, but they have changed it in the last couple of years. Now they're just primarily focusing on Canadian communities. So I'm thinking of other grants such as ARTs. Since it is involving tech, maybe we can take another approach and look at another program. Maybe I think it will be best if we could connect one-on-one and discuss more about the project, so we can help you with the right program.
Okay, sure. I'll reach out to you. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes, Christina.
Hi, Manny. I have a quick question to clarify in terms of what constitutes partnership. So let's say I wanted to do a project involving particular set of 2 schools. And so the research would involve minors. So would the partner be the individual schools, or would this be something to go to the board level, given that they have their own REB processes as well?
It has to involve a community organization. Maybe I can circle back to you. I can check, if it's allowed to have a partner, school as a partner. But mostly schools and universities, they'll be a collaborator in the project.
I see. Okay, that helps. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Harshvardhan, I believe you have submitted your NSERC project already, and did it go through or it was pending? I'm not quite sure. I'm not getting it. Can you please elaborate on that?
Actually, the process, it was in a process, and when my application was ready, I was told that there is no more application we are accepting and processing. So there were only 2 applications.
Do you mind sharing which grant it was?
That was NSERC grant last year. I don't remember exactly. I have to pull out information.
Okay, no problem. Because your project sounds more like a technological grant. So we already have one project, under Applied Research and Technology Partnership. We have one aerospace project going on. and we have been applying for another project with ARTs, which is Applied Research Development Grants. Maybe, if you can connect one-on-one, I can, since you have all the components ready, it'll be much easier for us to tweak it and make sure it is updated based on the current guidelines, and we can go ahead and file it, because ARDs are year-round. There is no limitations for that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because this project was initially handled by all documentation by Tanya Masa.
Oh, okay, perfect.
She was taking care of it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will hook up to you.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, actually, this is Reshma again. In follow-up to that question, I actually didn't know that. So if my idea involves technology, should I even bother putting something forward, or because you've already met sort of the threshold, or?
No, not yet. So we are just starting to find the projects. We haven't met the threshold. So that is a different. So he's talking about previous year. So previous year was over, and we are focusing on the 2024 applications. So this is the first sessions which we are having to find out the applicants.
Okay, so we should still discuss the idea with you and see if it's feasible. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
because
thanks for
technology can involve in a community development as well. But if your project aligns more with benefiting the industry partner, I would go with the other grants rather than the CCSIF grants. But if it solves a community problem, which is involving technology, of course, CCSIF is a good program to go for.
Yeah, I have lots of questions I need to follow up
No
on, because
problem.
this is all new to me, and yeah, it is a technology project, but I anticipate impact on vulnerable and marginalized, which covers the EDI piece, and at the same time making an impact on the community, but that is loosely defined because it literally is a community health center. So but I would need to discuss more. There's a lot of questions. I'll take it offline with you, and we'll go from there.
Thing.
Thanks.
Yeah. Maybe I can give you an example. We have one project which is active right now, which solves a problem in First Nations community. They use technology to solve that problem. They're finding the land is contaminated, how bad it is, and how they can educate the community to better solve those problems. But it is completely involving technology. So let's discuss more. Let's connect more, and then again, I can suggest you the best program available.
Yeah, actually, and on that note, I have a quick question there. So yes, so if my project actually has some impact on the indigenous patient populations, and I do have an organization that has an indigenous lead that would act as a sort of a cultural expert on that area, am I able to involve them? And
yes,
is there any challenges around it being a government organization, like Canadian government organization?
No, we have partners with CPHA as well. That's a Canadian organization.
Okay, sounds great. I'll discuss it more too. Thanks.
Sure thing. Yeah. So Christina, would you like to share your experience since you are already working in a CCSIF project? Is it okay? Are you comfortable?
Sure. What would you like me to share?
Any experience, because I know when you did the application, it was completely different. Right now, lots have changed. Now everything goes through Convergence portal.
Right, and that's why I'm so happy to be here today, just to learn what's the updates. So right now, my co-investigator and I are in year 2 of a CCSIF, having to do with a guiding framework for human services delivery. And that's based on the 3 themes of hope, self-compassion, and authentic collaboration. And so we're working with 6 partners across Canada, and it's doing a mixed methods project. And so the project involves interviews with service providers and service consumers, but we also have a series of surveys that people can do as well. And so each of the 3 years deals with its own theme. And right now we're in the process of analyzing that data collected from year 2. So it's exciting times, but yeah. And
so
actually,
is it okay to ask a question? I have a question for you. It's one of the biggest ones. As a new researcher, myself, did you have like an extensive research background that you felt helped you, was successful in getting the grant?
Well, the grant was already in process when I came. So there was that thing, but I do have an extensive research background, which really helps. So, I drew from my PhD dissertation. I was a high school teacher as well, and I taught research to grade 12 students. And so that gave me the perspectives in terms of really thinking about the ethics, also thinking about what would be the most appropriate ways of conducting the most appropriate research methods, and also the data analysis piece, because they have specific procedures and specific types depending on the type of project we're doing.
I'll just ask one question. So, did I understand it correct that you weren't the PI on it?
I'm the co-PI.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have my PhD as well. I did some research and I'm involved in a large research with the University of Waterloo. But I haven't been I have not ever applied as a PI myself or a co-PI on something. So I'm a bit, anxious to know whether that makes a difference in being successful or not.
To make it more comfortable, I would say, you can have you can partner with another co-PI or even another college or university if you know someone there who has the experience, who have already held a college grant. So that way it increases the probability of getting awarded. If you want to start, we have a program called Sortal as well. Just to get you kick-started with college grants, we have an internal grant. If you want to, let's say, if you want to do a literature review for the current CCSIF you're applying for, it's a 3-month. It's a very small amount, but you'll be easily awarded since it is an internal grant. You can hire a RA. You can do some purchasing. That way you can show that experience when you apply for a bigger grant. So that's something which I can help. We can
that's
explore.
great. That's something I'm very interested in. And just I don't want to take up all the time, but just a last quick question. So I had a capstone project which my students developed an app, which I believe to be very beneficial to many healthcare organizations, but specifically, vulnerable marginalized groups within CHCs. So the app, the technology piece is already developed, but I want to kind of work with an organization to implement it. Is that sounds like something that's can go through this process or a different process?
We can go through this process too. I'll share the handbook to you for Sortal.
Okay. Yes, I'll ask a lot of questions there and follow up
No
with you differently.
problem, yeah.
But yeah. Okay, thank you so much. It's always good because again, when you're a first time principal,
Totally
applicant, it's
understandable.
But you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
So I've shared the link for Sortal and the handbook too for you and Natalie. So if you can access it, you'll be able to understand what are the grants available within internally as an emerging researcher, how best we can utilize these resources. Thanks, Ashwin.
If there isn't anybody else have a question, again, I don't want to eat up people's time if they have a
No
question,
problem.
but
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have one other question. So I have extensive experience and I also hold a leadership role within the industry. Is that any do you get brownie points for that you're seen as an expert in the industry and you are leading big things and you're already doing this stuff? It's just a matter that you're not an expert researcher yet. Do you get brownie points for that?
It does. It's how we are going to interpret your experience in the application. We will be able to help you out with that. At the same time, if you lack a resource, let's say you lack a social scientist in your project, so we have a database of researchers. We'll reach out to them. We'll make you a connection. They may be interested, but they don't have any project which they can work on. They'll have the expertise, so we can onboard them as a partial. Maybe they are partial load faculty. We can onboard them since it's 120,000 per year. We'll be able to pay them to cover that time.
Yeah, I mean, I had some preliminary discussions with nursing when I went May 3rd or something with Ginger. They had a session there around research, some new grants they're launching and all that, around aging, specifically around aging. So I did chat with faculty of social work and nursing. So there may be some partnerships. But again, I just have not ever taken the time, and I've been very intimidated by the process of applying for a grant on my own. So having this help and going through this will be tremendous as kicking off that work. Yeah. Thanks.
Absolutely. Akhil, do you have any questions?
No, actually, you did call on me to if I want to share my experience through the process. I don't know if you, so I don't know if you want
That's
me
why
to
I
share.
sent you a text and you didn't
Yeah.
respond. I thought maybe you're not
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to share the idea about the project or the process itself.
The process, like what are the things you think,
Yeah,
you know,
so
the faculty has to keep in mind?
that's really very good thing to share with our colleagues here. It's really very transparent process. I just really want to say that the research office at Humber, they provided, not because I'm talking now and they're hearing me, but they provided a lot of support that was, you know, from early start to the submission. So we didn't actually get the result yet for our projects. We are expecting that to come end of May and probably mid-June. I don't know if that's right. So the process is a bit lengthy. So you need actually to prepare yourself ahead of time. It takes really very long time to do it. And I would really advise if that, you know, if you start maybe with first step, which is the CV 103, this is really a very long process and sometimes really take a lot of time from you to, since you are probably busy with a lot of courses that you teach. So you get, you know, that part finished, and then you can focus more on the proposal writing and you know the modifications that you always need to do based on the feedback that you get from the research office, from the reviewers. That would help you a lot in the process. I would also suggest, and I know that would be I don't know, useful suggestion or not, but regarding the once you get your letter of intent approved, which is really, you know, that shows that your project is good to go, and you start actually. I don't know if there is a possibility, and this is for the research office maybe to discuss with the you know, deans and associate deans from other schools, you know, a bit of, I don't know, course release, half course release, whatever actually would be helpful, because once you get into the actual writing of your proposal, you know, connecting with the partners and make all of the commitment and the time to make sure that the proposal is ready. I don't know if you need some kind of accommodation for that, which is, I don't know,
Well,
half course.
actually, I have a question there. So when I met on campus with Ginger, you know, they had a whole bunch of group there around aging research. She did say she was able to reach out to associate deans regarding us getting a course release. Because for myself, I'm a program coordinator, so I only teach 2 courses, which is a good thing in a way. I can only get released perhaps from 1. I did speak with my AD about it. He was very open to the idea because I said to him, that's going to be the only thing keeping me at Humber right now. A lot of organizations want me, but the only piece I'm missing at Humber is the research. You know, and I'd like to be more involved in that because I've sort of maxed out on my teaching. So Ginger said that's possible, but is that a separate ask from this one here if I go through this process?
So course release is something which we provided the faculty to work on the project. You know,
Okay.
the pre-application process, we don't have the funds yet, right? But we are trying to, you know, find a room to help you with that too, because it takes about anywhere between 150 to 200 hours. It's a lot of time, right? You're doing it on top of your everyday tasks.
Yeah.
So what Akhil suggesting is, you know, to get a course release, at least a half course release for folks who we think they'll get awarded. So who we select
Yeah.
as the top 5 projects which we'll be working on to develop the application.
But I just really want to emphasize one thing again. It's the support that we got from the research office is amazing. Honestly, this is really not just I'm saying because I'm in the but that was really clear from A to Z until we submitted the project, and everything was very helpful in the process. The support that we got. So I just really want to emphasize this.
No, I think it
Also,
makes
make sure
it matters. It matters, right? I mean, unfortunately, like I just recently finished my PhD, and unfortunately, I did not have a good supervisor that supported me through that process during my PhD. But I do have part-time staff who is doing their PhD at a different institution, and they're already going through this. Their supervisor is amazing and helping them start to get this now. So unfortunately, I'm sort of catching up in a way. I'm now trying to get this from Humber, and so on my own, it's always been an intimidating process to undertake by myself, of course, on top of a PhD while working as well. You know, but so that's why I'm looking forward to the support. I think it will make, like, demystify the process and make it a little bit less intimidating, because I do think I don't want to hold myself back, because I think I can make significant contributions, and I have the expertise and knowledge in the area that I'm thinking of, you know, doing this research in, and I know will make a big impact. It's just a matter of getting support through this intimidating process. And unfortunately, my PhD supervisor was not great, but I've been sad because I see other people in their PhD process where supervisors are amazing and they're starting to do this during the PhD. So by the time they get out, they're already feeling confident on their own to apply, right? But that's where I'm hoping Humber will support me. I was able to convince my AD and he said yes, because I said to him, you know, like that's one of the reasons I'll stay with Humber if I'm able to do research.
Are you from Longo Faculty of Business by any chance?
Yes. So I'm with Paul Griffin.
Okay.
So I have been, so actually this is my 4th year at Humber. But I just recently finished my PhD. So I was recruited before I finished, and I just finished. But so that's why I wasn't pursuing research, because I was busy with the program coordinator and all the teaching and everything. And now that I'm finished and I have this capacity, I want to start doing more research. And you know, I said to him, a lot of organizations want me, but if you want to keep me here, you got to give me some time to do research and not only teaching.
Right.
So he was open to that idea, but it's quite an intimidating process to go through alone, by yourself for the first time. You always feel like, oh, all of the people with a lot of high research profile will be winning, and you know, it's such a waste of time. And I mean, there's no guarantee, but you know, you have to try, and that's where I'm willing to go through that process now with support. It's going to be a really, really big deal, because I know, yeah, it's a big process. Yeah. Thanks.
Hi, Bob. You are on mute. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to everybody. So I'm late because I lost the link actually in the email.
Oh, I'm sorry. No problem. So we have recorded the meeting. So it's completely recorded.
Okay.
I'll